us is Chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Rick Crawford. Chairman, it's good to see you tonight. All right.
Yes, sir, you too.
I got to tell you, I was kind of on pins and needles there. We had a situation room situation, and I thought we might get some news. We haven't heard anything. Are you surprised that we haven't gotten any news from the president?
Not really. I think we'll get some news, but I think there's a lot to be looked at here in the historic context of what we're witnessing taking place here. And I think it's Newt Gingrich probably said it best. His analysis of this historic moment, I think, is spot on. Either way the president goes, whether he strikes a deal or whether he deals a strike, this is an historic win for the United States under the leadership of President Trump, with him not as a unilateral actor, but as a coalition builder in the region. And that's what the important nations in that neck of the woods, Qatar, Bahrain, the Emirates, Oman, Saudi Arabia, they are looking to President Trump for leadership, and he's delivering on that. This is not a unilateral action. It's not even a bilateral action. This is a multilateral coalition led by President Trump. And whatever happens after today is still going to be historic in nature.
You know, that may speak to, I think, one of the thorniest issues here, okay? So if you get a deal, you get this 60-day deal, there's a lot to hash out if you get the deal, right? What do you do with the nuclear material? How do you get it out? The president hinted at that in a post when he said the U.S. is going to go in and the Islamic Republic's going to help us. Okay, that surprised me. I would be surprised if we got that cooperation. How important are all those allies in the region to making sure that if a deal happens, we can hold Iran to it?
Well, I think it's also important to note that Iran has no allies, with the possible exception of some European banks and maybe some London banks. But regionally speaking, there are no allies for them to turn to. They have become sort of a pariah in the region. So I think there's going to be a willingness on the part of those Gulf state nations to assist in extracting that material. It's been done before. Look at what we did in Libya, and the contents that were extracted from Libya were brought to Oak Ridge Lab, I believe, and then of course the weapon systems were subsequently destroyed. I think that needs to happen here. It can be done. We've got the capability of doing it. It's a question of whether or not Iran is at this point in a state of having to capitulate and say yes to that in order to try to resuscitate their economy. We're not talking enough about the state of their economy, which is in a complete spiral. So I think that that's probably going to make it a little bit of an easier decision for them to make if they're really concerned about their economic well-being.
You know, the president's laid out what seem like 3 red lines. Hormuz open, no nuclear weapons, and all of the enriched material out of the country, and he said destroyed. Can he bend on any one of those 3 and still have a big win for America, would you say?
Well, I think you have to, I'm not going to answer that, because that's a question I think that he and his team need to answer. But I will say this: there is no way that this deal comes off anything but much better than what took place under the Obama administration, where they didn't do anything to impede the progress of Iran and delivered them literally stacks and stacks of palletized cash to allow them to purchase material and continue to purchase the technology to accelerate their road to a nuclear weapon. The president has stopped all of that. This is a win today. Whether what the deal looks like is, I think, still to be determined. But whatever happens, I think you have to recognize the leadership the president has displayed in terms of exhausting every diplomatic effort possible before saying, all right, let's go.
Chairman Rick Crawford, we are going to be watching closely, and we'll see if he says anything today or in the days ahead. We appreciate you being on tonight. Thanks for giving us your perspective.
You bet. Thank you.
All right, from Iran.